and greet everyone. Let me stop my screen share so I can make myself full screen and welcome you to this week's weekly briefing. Hello, I'm Joel from RevThink. I am hosting solo today because my colleague and co-conspirator Tim is on vacation and he's somewhere warm. He probably has a margarita or Mai Tai in his hand, and he might be listening in, but we won't know it because he'll come in under some other name so that we don't know it's him. So best wishes to him wherever he is in the world. I am joined behind the scenes with a couple of my colleagues. I think Connor is here as well as Emmett. There might be someone else, so be sure to say hi to them. But to the rest of you, what is the weekly briefing? The weekly briefing is the one time of the week where we pause to talk about a current hot topic, latest trend, something in the news that owners of studios and creative firms, agencies, production companies need to know. And this week is definitely that, because our industry is dying for producers. You producers are really popular right now, and it might be in part due to the Great Resignation. It's partly due to growth in our industry. It's partly due to brands and companies scooping up producer talent around the world. But it's giving rise to this question: what do we do about it? And I invited two superstar producers to come in and help me answer a very provocative question. So I'm going to bring on stage here in a moment Kate from Spilt and Liah from Hugo. I think Liah will hopefully be here any moment. Oh wait, maybe she is.
I'm here.
Hey, she's here. All right. Welcome, Liah. I'm going to make you a co-host with me just so you have those superpowers. Let's see. There you are. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to bring on Kate. Hello, Kate. Please wave and say hello while I also find Liah. And Liah, there you are. Add spotlight. Hi, Liah. Welcome.
How are you?
Good. So would you do me a favor? Liah, why don't you, well, actually, you're probably still catching your breath. Kate, can you do me a favor and introduce yourself and tell us in a nutshell what the heck you do in your producer role at Spilt?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kate Swift. I work at Spilt, based in Denver. I did actually start as a producer, and now I'm executive producer, but I still produce as well. So for me at Spilt, my role is from, initial client calls, bidding, doing schedules, and running jobs. So I kind of do it all.
And this is why we love you. If I'm a business owner, I will say, Kate and you and I were fortunate to work together for a few years or more in my days running Impossible. So yes, you know very much why I love producers so much, because I suck at producing, quite honestly. And you and the other producers were so instrumental to making us successful that I'm forever in your debt. Liah, please introduce yourself and say hi to the group and tell us, what is your role at Hugo?
At Hugo, I'm a mainly graphics producer. So, well, we have all types of clients, but basically doing the hiring and the money regarding how to start and finish a project, from editing, motion graphics, the design phase. That's it.
That's it in a nutshell. So do you run jobs? Do you bid jobs and basically manage all of those resources yourself?
Yeah. So we, a client like right now, it's a lot of networks will come over and want us to do a rebrand. So I make sure I do the bid, listen to the creative call, and then make sure we deliver whatever it is they need.
Is it safe to say that both of you are given certain guardrails and you have more or less free reign to get the job done within those parameters? You run it, you manage it.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so are either of you bumping into this shortage of producer talent? Have you heard about this? Are you aware of it? Do you bump up against it at all?
with myself. You know,
Well, I mean, I'm mostly curious. No,
You
I'm
clone
not
yourself.
but you know, are people calling you and you know, courting you, or when you try and hire other producers or freelance producers, have you bumped up against this shortage of talent?
you can go first.
I haven't. I mean, we're a fairly small shop, so so far I'm managing to EP and produce most of the jobs, but one of the questions I know you were asking about how you bring people in, we did just bring somebody in to help with social media, and it was actually somebody who had no experience in the business at all, and she's actually starting to produce a couple of jobs, which is great.
Right.
And the idea is to train her, you know, from soups to nuts so that she can run more jobs.
Okay, good to know, because we'll get into that. And
yeah, I know.
What about you, Liah?
Say, we're a small shop too, but I have definitely gotten more calls from where I previously worked, and people have been definitely calling more for hiring producers. So I have noticed that within the past 2 years.
Okay, so here's the central question I would love to ask the two of you. And it's a pretty simple one. And I want you to really reflect maybe on your journey of how you got to be where you are. And the question is, are producers born or are they made? I'm really curious just to hear, like, express your philosophy about this, right? Because the producer path is not one that you just say, oh yeah, you went to college and you got a degree in being a producer in post-production or live action, and now you're ready to run my jobs and manage my budgets and be in control of all this stuff. And I think it's just such an interesting question that when people want to either bring on a producer for the first time at their shop, or they want to grow and mature and advance their producer from junior to mid to senior to EP, how does that work? Are they born or are they made? Kate, I'm curious, you can go first.
I think they're born, personally, because I think you've got to be a certain type to be a good producer. I mean, it wasn't something that I wanted to do. I think I wanted to be a fashion designer way back. And I actually didn't end up going to school. I got a job as a runner in a post-production house. This is many, many years ago. Right. And then I kind of fell into producing, and I started producing at MTV Europe way, way back in the day. So right. I fell into it, but I think because of the type of person I am, is why I continue to do it and love it, you know.
And what about you, Liah? Are they born or are they made?
I mean, I agree with you. They're definitely born. Like, I've always been bossy, or like as younger. And then, but I would say I went into school for like animation, and I was doing graphics. And then I one day was like, I want to be that person that tells the person what to do. So I definitely was also made, if that makes sense. So I think it's a balance. Okay,
that works. Now, I love that you mentioned something like bossiness, which I think is kind of
not in a bad way, bossy. Like, just
I know. No, it's endearing, right? Because what I would say about producers is there is a certain personality type, a certain propensity or leaning towards take charge, make things happen, drive people forward, right? But there's also this den mother quality I find.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, you're like a mom or a dad
at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So if maybe producers are born, but then to a certain extent they're made, what is your encouragement whenever you bump into somebody and they're saying, well, like an owner who says, hey, I need to hire a producer, but I can't find one. What how do I look for that person that I can maybe, that is born, but hasn't yet been given the opportunity? Or to the producer, the person that says, someday I want to be a producer, what are the qualities, the attributes that you look for in that person, other than maybe bossiness? Liah?
I can break it down. No, I meant like, when I say bossiness, I meant
confidence.
you got to know what you want to. You got to know how to communicate clearly. You got to listen to ideas. You got to anticipate problems before they happen. You have to have good skills at knowing who to choose to hire. Like those types of things. There's not so much bossiness, it's like prepared and good decision making.
Maybe could we go with assertiveness? Is that a better word?
Yeah.
Confident, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Kate? What would be the attributes or personality?
I think confidence is important, keenness. I think it's about willing to take a chance. Like I said, we've just done exactly that. And we totally took a chance through a random meeting of Sarah, who's here now. And she's been killing it. And she's so excited to produce. And it's so interesting because I'm kind of figuring out how to train her. And to be honest, the best way is to just have her do the jobs. I can say all this stuff about our process and how we do everything, but until you actually do it, that's the only way you're going to learn, is to do it. There is no real path in how to train a good producer. It's just throw them to the wolves. Well, hold their hand while you do it.
So as you know, we're gearing up to do another of our producer master classes, which the two of you, of course, both went through a few months ago. And I think something I'm excited, you mentioned there, Kate, to explore is giving those younger, less mature producers, like, here's a sample project, go produce it. Like, what is your plan? And then I'll pretend to be the client and I'll throw you a curveball called, no, I don't like that. And at the 11th hour, I'm going to change it. And how are you going to respond? How are you going to adapt? And I'm curious if that, is there just a certain amount of, you have to learn in the trenches, but do it with, honestly, somebody who's a mentor at your side to say, hey, that's great, but think about this and try that again. And that wasn't necessarily the best way. Like, is that essentially what you're recommending?
Yeah, I think so, because I think you can give them a fake project, but I just feel like you need a real one, you know? Yeah. I think you can make scenarios up, and also it all comes down to experience too. I think I've been doing this for so long that I just know what I need to do in certain situations, and that comes with experience. And I think giving them like a worksheet or a fake project, I just give them a project. I mean, be there all the way, be on all the emails, talk to them regularly about how it's going, but just give them a project.
Liah, what about you? I noticed in your, when I was asking you for what do you look for in that personality type, and you said, oh, there's assertiveness and proactivity and planning. Like, you just rattled off all this stuff that was frankly like gold, I think. If you were going to bring in a producer and train somebody to work alongside you, like, how would that work?
Well, you got to know your own weaknesses. So usually if I need to hire help, I look at my weaknesses and I'm like, well, we need someone that's better at that. Does that make sense? So
sure.
For me, like, I love to hire people that are great writers. That helps a lot. I come from a creative background, so I kind of transitioned backwards, but it helps a lot with that, and good just coordination skills, like just know how to coordinate something. It's not that hard. It's just about action. And so I have their energy, that they're excited about it, because sometimes some producers, after doing it for so long, you lose that excitement. Yeah. So you do have to, that's how I kind of see younger talent. But I also, sometimes they hire them, like when I've been at a lot of studios, but you see who they hired and you see that coordinator and you can pick it out, like that person, I could totally see doing it. But you also have to see what they want, if that makes sense. Like, let them talk, let them see where they want to go with it too. Because go ahead.
I'm curious, Liah, on your journey as you've evolved, and maybe you started out as a coordinator, junior, associate producer, and then have moved up into a senior producer role now. What's been what's changed? Like, what's the difference when you go from being, say, a mid-level producer to being a senior producer? What's the difference?
Responsibility. Like,
Okay.
you get blamed for, like, the higher you go, the more it's your fault. What's changed?
Well, that's good. That's a good question. Like, what, in terms of responsibility, like what are some of those responsibilities that have grown as your role has evolved?
The money. If something goes wrong with the budget, it's automatically on the producer. If you hired wrong, it's on you. Things like that kind of fall more on your back. Like when you're a coordinator, when you're starting off, you're assisting the people doing the work, right? And then you have to kind of move seats and actually oversee, not just who you hired or just like your studio. You have to also be the communicator between the client and those graphic people or editors, whatever. But you also have to make sure your money's not just totally disappearing.
Well, Kate, I'm curious, Kate, to see if this aligns with your journey as well, because what I'm noticing is that the more junior a producer, they're probably working internally. They may not be dealing directly with money and budgets. And as you evolve, you start becoming more and more client facing and dealing more and more taking responsibility for the money. Is that been sort of your journey as you've matured up to an EP?
Yeah, but I also think as you get more experience and you get more mature, it's much easier for you to just own up and say, I fucked up.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So even though that you have more responsibility and the onus is on you, you get more confident and better at saying, look, I fucked up. I mean, I've even done it with clients and been like, I fucked up. And I think that helps.
Yeah.
You know, because we're not all perfect. We do make mistakes. And I think with experience, even though you do get more responsibility and the onus is more on you, you have the ability to just own up and
Sure.
you know,
well, I think
take responsibility for it. And it's not the end of the world, you know, as my years ago, it's just TV, you know.
Yeah.
You don't stress quite as much as you might when you were a production coordinator too, you know.
There's probably also there's a certain scale to what you ladies are talking about as well, because I would say I could see entrusting a $20,000 job to a junior producer, but when it's a $220,000 job, right? So that, as you describe it, Kate, you have more confidence. But when you talk about responsibility, obviously, if you have to manage that size budget and you fuck it up, as you say, that's a big deal. So that comes with a lot of responsibility, stress, and so forth. Because I'm just guessing, I'm going to ask the obvious, but you would not hand a $220,000 job to a junior or even a mid producer.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Yeah. So, well, I'm curious, Kate, could you maybe describe it as you've moved from, I presume, senior producer to EP? What changed? Like, what's that like for you?
I'm spending more time doing bids, I guess, and on initial client calls. Whereas I was just focusing on daily jobs. So I'm definitely more involved in the bigger picture of the company. Like I said, we're a pretty small company. So I think that's been the biggest change for me. Day to day, I mean, you know, we always used to do our own bids anyway before I became EP. So I'm kind of used to doing that. But it's more now being more part of helping the company grow and helping with the company culture, I think, is the biggest part, really.
Right. And do you enjoy that part of it?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. When I hear that, I think that's interesting, because I hear that as those responsibilities have grown, you're handling larger budgets, you're actually doing the bidding. So you're really driving a lot of the planning. It's right. It's like, it's not somebody coming to you and saying, here's the budget, just figure it out. Like you're almost involved in a certain amount of strategy and thinking, and sometimes consulting. And those are clients, not just consulting the owner, right? Yeah. I would think that would be a lot of fun, because that's where the problems really get interesting, right?
Yeah, I love it.
That's fantastic. Liah, what's do you have like a goal as you look forward and you're saying, as I want to continue to evolve and grow? What's next for you? What gets you excited about your career path?
Well, I used to post supervise too. So I kind of like being at a smaller shop right now because it is more post production. Post supervising can sometimes get really intense, like doing the whole show, like you're in charge of the whole post. So maybe jump back on into that an EP one day and like actually be the EP of a show one day. But right now I'm just happy with not having so much it being so cutthroat, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, I'm thinking, obviously you and I have worked together a bit behind the scenes, and it's been really cool to see the impact that you've made at Hugo and just seeing the really cool growth and trajectory that company is on, which has been very cool. Kate, what about you? What are you excited about when you look at your career path ahead?
I really like where I'm at right now, so I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go anywhere apart from Spilt. So I think I feel like I'm happy where I'm at. I've been in big management roles in big companies, and I really like being in a smaller place with a smaller team. I could go to a big company maybe and be an EP there, or be in, VP somewhere, but I'm really enjoying not working in corporate world.
Yeah, so, I used to work for ESPN, NBC.
Yeah,
you've done it too, and it's like, yeah, it's awesome, but at the same time, it's nice. Like, to say you're happy someplace, it's another level of money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So if you stay put at Spilt, how do you think your role might evolve? Just at
I don't know. Where's Ed? Is he on?
Yes, he is.
Is he on? Is he on?
I'm putting you on the
spot.
Where
am I going next? Is he there? No, maybe he's not.
He's here.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes.
Where do I go next?
I think it's just seeing what the future brings. It's
exactly.
Like managing a whole team of producers.
Yeah, I mean, as we grow, I think that would be the next. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're like the who knows how the title might change. It might remain EP, but it sounds like you're becoming more and more integral to the business decisions that are made that even supersede production decisions.
Yes. Which has been great.
Well, I have to do one like small, not so shameless plug. I am curious. Was there an interesting takeaway that you learned in the producer masterclass that you thought might be interesting to share? What was that experience like for you? Kate, I'll start with you.
I think it was, a lot of the roll-up stuff that we learned about was really, really great. And I remember about sort of saying, not I think. I remember what was the word that we used to, you're not allowed to say, I think, you need to say.
Yeah. It's not,
what's that?
And instead of saying, I think, you say based on.
Based on, exactly. So I've been trying to use that, not say I think, and being kind of more assertive. That helped me. I think it would be good if you had to not have so many different levels of producers, like some of us are more senior and some are more junior. So I think probably if you did it again, it would be good to maybe have two different ones, one with more junior and then another one with more senior.
Yeah, we're thinking about tackling that with breakout groups as well. But
yeah.
I just remembered the concept you're talking about was the difference between opinion and knowledge. That was that thing, right? Anyone can say, well, I think we should. It's like very different to say based on. Liah, what about you? What was that experience like for you?
It strengthened some of my questions on the roll up because as I said, I came to a smaller shop and we've grown so much with projects that it's just the best way to, I've been around a lot of places and I haven't found a rev, I call it the rev thing, but whenever I'm putting everything in, but learning some of the questions that I didn't really know why something was on the sheet was helpful.
Yeah.
And it also, same thing, confidence, like it just basically kind of it was a great class because it made you remember, as much as sometimes producers are under like thanked, not that you want that or just devalued, like it's all about the creative, it's all about the creative. It gave you the ability to see again, hey, we are important. Like we do have a lot that we do, even though we're behind the scenes. And I like that. What else did I learn? It was nice to hear everyone else and how they produce and just kind of, oh, that's what it was. I did it yesterday. I had to ask for an overage, and I usually get really nervous. And I basically remembered everything Tim said, and I was like, and I just did it nicely. And you always have to do it, but it was kind of like extra padding of, I got this, and just we got the money, so it was good.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I will be the first to acknowledge that I think producers are the unsung heroes of our industry, because you're right. The creatives get all the credit, all the glory and credit for all the beautiful work. But I know that it takes a great producer behind all that work for that to happen. So I'm here to give you both the credit you deserve. And I'm sure everyone here that works with great producers knows. Amen. So, well, let me scan our questions and comments here, because maybe there's somebody's dropped something that they wanted to share. I see a couple interesting comments here. No questions per se. All good. Jeremy says, for sure, I think we all take producers for granted too often. See, Jeremy's got a couple good ones himself, so he knows the difference makers that they are. Well, look, ladies, I want to say thank you for being part of this conversation today. It's really nice to grab you and get 30 minutes of your time, and I appreciate you just candidly sharing your stories and your experience and perspective. So I think we learned today that great producers are born and then made, but it's the two, I think, coming together. Is that what we decided? Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed this conversation, everyone, please give these ladies a nice shout out and a thank you. And I'll just sign off by saying, on behalf of my colleague, Tim, that here at RevThink, we're here to help you thrive in business and in life and career. That's what we do every day, all day. So thanks for being part of the weekly briefing. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Kate. And
thank you, Joel.
We will see you all
Thanks,
again,
everybody.
Next Thursday for another briefing. Bye-bye.
All right. Nice meeting everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice meeting everyone. Bye.